Yeah,
Giving you the funk 24/7.
we on.
You're listening to Philly Funk Radio,
Turn me on, turn me on, turn me on.
live from Philadelphia, PA.
All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. You are checking out the Philly Live Show. Yep. Sunday edition. We are here live and direct, as always. Yep. Again, welcome to our show, broadcasting on Facebook and YouTube and maybe Rumble. So, as always, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Van Stone. Van, how you doing today?
Well, I'm doing okay. We're going to welcome everybody to the show. We're going to do a lot of updates so far. We're here, co-host Jerry Wilson, and of course I'm Van Stone, the face behind the voice. I'm considering this a special edition today, regardless of what happens, because right now the biggest thing that we are facing, especially as Philadelphians, Black Philadelphians, is a major decision that's going on right now in politics. They're voting on a change dealing with Medicaid and food and SNAP and so many decisions. In fact, the Supreme Court has also made several major decisions that really impacts all of us. That's also recently. So welcome to the Philly Live Show. We're going to be a little serious here. Normally we have a lot of cheer. My co-host is not here just yet. DJ Whitney, hopefully she'll join in. She has a lot of different views. I think that, her opinion is very strong. If you follow her show on Facebook and YouTube, you'll really get to see some of the directions that she has in mind. Of course, my man new to the show is Kevin Tones Dowdy, music producer. We want to say what's up to him. Shout out to Antoinette Cook. She's not here. David, he's not here. David Anthony, Mickey J. We have a lot of important people who usually are here. When we have a special, who have the professional opinions based on study, research, and understanding of what's actually happening. Let me see. We got some new people coming in too. We're going to talk about that from the LGBTQ community. And hopefully we'll have that coming up, guests to discuss. So this show is going to go out to our team. Of course, Warren Bloom, formerly ran for mayor. And if I'm missing anybody, it'll come back to mind because we have a large group. So I'd like to really get right direct into what I think is a serious topic, this issue, what this new president is going to do. That's going to shake up a lot of things, and it's really going to impact the Black American community in a different way. So when they talk about changing services, man, we're talking about all ages, because Medicaid is not what the average person think Medicaid is. And you, of all people, Jerry Wilson, know about that based on you being a professional. You've also handled your own medical for years. So this is not a cop-out discussion. This is a discussion that some kind of way, regardless of whether you're handling your own medical or not, coming out your pocket, so forth and so on, that change that the president is trying to make, which looks like it's going to happen today. It looks like it's going to happen. We have a voice and an experience on that. So I'm going to throw it to you first, if you have any views on what's happening, what we're facing today. Then we're just going to talk.
So, a little bit about me. I have no problem with mentioning this. As of right now, I receive Medicaid from the state. I'm diabetic, plus I have osteoarthritis, plus a whole bunch of other stuff. So right now, I do receive Medicaid. So this I'm watching this closer to see how this is going to affect someone like me because they're talking about cutting a whole bunch of funding and increasing the threshold of the qualifiers for Medicaid. So
Right.
they want people that are disabled to go out and work. Like, I guess it's like a 20-hour work requirement, which they do kind of have already, but they want to make it even stricter. There's basically like, if you can walk and talk, you're not getting Medicaid.
Wow.
That's pretty much what they want to do. They've been doing this for years. They call them entitlement programs. So that would include like your Medicaid, like your SNAP benefits, cash, your WIC for women, and so forth. So they want to touch it. I'm going to bring in a special guest right now, and we're going to pick up this conversation in a minute, but let me bring in our guest.
Okay.
Okay, hold on for a second. Juan, are you there? Mr. Juan Johnson.
I see the image up there. So he's there. Just got to get his audio in there.
Audio, maybe video.
One Media World Radio.
Yeah, One Media World. So when he joins us,
There he is.
there you go. Hey, Juan.
Hey, what's going on with you?
So sorry to interrupt what I was saying, but we'll get back to it. But we have a special guest right now, one of our radio partners from Detroit, Michigan. He owns his very own production company and radio station company called One Media World in Detroit, Michigan, and he is the host of the Morning Coffee Show, which airs Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. on One Media World, as well as Philly Funk Radio and a host of other radio stations. Juan, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
So what we were talking about, and I'm going to bring you in on this conversation, we were talking about President Trump and him trying to basically dismantle Medicaid. It's going to get very interesting, right? So
It's like you can't say enough about what he's doing, because if you do, you end up crying or laughing, and one of the two.
Right.
Because he's basically dismantling the United States.
Okay. Okay. Well, this is Van Stone here. How you doing, brother?
How you doing? How you doing, Van?
I'm fine. I'm Jerry's partner from Philly Funk Radio, and always enjoy your show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We calling this a special show for today because we're really going to talk about this. And when you say what you said, it's spot on, because this is not something that the average black person can say. Regardless of what happens, blacks always seem to survive. This is the short answer that just thrown out there all the time. Oh, no matter what happened, or they give this other reply, why bother to wait on the government for everything, so forth and so on. We need to just take care of ourselves. And there's a lot of statements that's really not fair to say to what we're talking about right now. Because if this thing passes, which I believe is going to happen today, we're talking about the average person not even being able to just go into the hospital. If there's an emergency, you may not be able to even go there. And matter of fact, I'm gonna go backwards. Recently, Jerry just experienced going into the hospital in an emergency. To us, it's a normal situation if your sugar raises a little bit here and there, but to a diabetic, which is what Jerry was talking about,
it's dangerous.
Yes, and when you're talking about blood sugar that goes up to 500, oh my goodness. Most people don't understand that, and then to have a situation with what Trump is doing, where even the people who think they know what to do with Medicaid, all these individuals may be really cut off access to where they can get assistance. So what's your thoughts on that? That's what we're talking about.
So let's keep it Medicaid right now. So Trump has been, since his first term, has been trying to dismantle what people have been calling the Affordable Health Care Act, which if you ask anybody on the street, don't you want, affordable health care? And the Affordable Health Care Act will help you get that, affordable health care you need. They say, of course I do. And then you say, well, do you want the Obamacare? They say, oh, no, I don't want the Obamacare. It's because they don't understand it's the same thing. And that's exactly what Donald Trump is counting on, people that doesn't understand. So dismantling what he's saying is he's dismantling Obamacare, and he's going to bring a new health care that's better than Obamacare. Is basically going to be the same thing. It's just going to have Trump's name on it. And because he's an egotistic, it has to have his name on it because Obama had his name on the other one. So he wants something that has his name on it so it'll make it seem like it's better than Obamacare. And people that don't understand that he's not only just changing the name and almost keeping it the same, but he's going to take certain things out that deal with health care for blacks, health care for people that are underprivileged, that can't afford certain types of health care. He's going to take all that away and bring it back a different way, which would lean toward the bigger companies. So, yeah, as far as healthcare, well, we know he's an inept president. And so for him to act like he knows what he's talking about really shows you how much he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Okay.
I don't think I don't think Trump has any intention on replacing the ACA with anything. I think he just wants to cut people off. And I don't know what this man's vision for this country is, but you want to cut off all these social safety nets, and you just want people out there with nothing. So I don't know what he thinks is going to happen.
What that means is that they only counting on people that have jobs that give them benefits. So that's their way of forcing certain people to go take it. I'm sorry, y'all. It's hot in Detroit right now. But he's counting on people having certain jobs that give them certain benefits that allow them health care. Well, every job don't give you health care.
Correct.
Every job, I can think of a few jobs that don't give you health care.
Well, the job that I'm at right now doesn't give health care. I was at a job for almost 6 years that had health care. I lost that job. Now I'm working with a staffing agency, at least temporarily, and they do not offer medical. So that's the situation that I'm in right now. And like Van was mentioned, I was in the hospital Wednesday because my blood sugar spiked to almost 600.
Ooh.
So fortunately, as slow as they were, I were able to get services, and eventually Medicaid will pay for that hospital bill. There's some things I got to go through, but at least that's available right now. So what I'm concerned is what happens when this new bill is passed. A whole bunch of people, myself maybe included, lose Medicaid, and then you have a medical emergency. What are we supposed to just die?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
that's where the clinic and but a lot of the clinics had to close because of the DEI thing.
Right.
There's no funding for it, but there are still some clinics around that will treat you for give you medical, what, even if you don't have Medicaid or any other issues. But they are hard to find, and them bills that rack up when you do that become, those are things that sit on your credit too. So
Right.
it's a win-lose situation. But like I said, and we've always said Black people always survive. But but we've always survived when we were all together. We haven't been together in a long time. So I think his presidency will start the voyage of us being back together and doing certain things together. Like we had our own areas. We had You know, they have black bottoming here in Detroit, Paradise Valley, and Tulsa. Tulsa was the whole town. They had, their areas, and I don't think I think people these days were scared to rebuild because of the simple fact that white supremacy was bombing neighborhoods where black people thrive. So, but I think nowadays that those type of things aren't going to happen, again, because I think black people are more vigilant. They're more apt to say something. They're more apt to, take action. And I don't think they'll do the Black Panther thing, but I wish they would.
Well, let me say this before we go to the break, because we may be getting to a break shortly. This
Yep.
situation is different, and the reason why it's different, you're talking about the 50s, right? So the 50s going into the 60s, how bad it was in the 50s and the 60s, that if you needed medical attention, you had to get it, if you were black, at the funeral home. So imagine if you needed to go to the dentist, you had to go to the funeral home to get dental assistance. If you needed medical assistance, if you needed to give birth to a child, you had to go to the funeral home. So that was based on direct power of racial discrimination. You were black, you couldn't go into the ordinary hospital. The reason why this is different is because Trump is designing this thing in such a way, it doesn't matter where you can go to get assistance. That's getting cut off 100%, where it's not even where they can set up visitation services at a funeral home. Keep that in mind. I'm gonna throw it back to you, Jerry.
All right, we're going to take a 30-second break, and we will be right back.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
All right, and we are back. We got about 12 minutes left. So, do I go back to you, Van, or do I go back to Juan? Who wants to
Yes,
take
you
it?
always go back to me. So welcome once again to the show, Philly Live. Of course, I'm Van Stone, the face behind the voice. I am the guy that brings in the advertisement, information, announcements. And of course, we have Jerry Wilson here, co-host who really runs things from Philly Funk Radio. This is a special edition of Philly Live Show. And we have, of course, our guest from One Media World Radio. He's with us here. Throw out your name again and give us some sort of shout out from your program that runs on Philly Funk Radio.
My name is Juan Johnson. I am the host of the world's #1 internet morning radio show called the Morning Coffee Show. It airs right here on Philly Funk Radio, also on One Media World Radio, Radio Japan, T-Rex Radio in Canada, Radio Dance Radio in New York, and 4 other more stations I can't remember. Oh, EAMT Radio in Detroit, and also Courageous Detroit Radio in Detroit.
Right, you're with us live from what state and what city, or what city and state?
We are live from the beautiful city of Detroit, Michigan. Right now, the hot, beautiful city of Detroit, Michigan. It's a little bit over 85 here today.
Okay, wow. So we're
Well, it
bringing
is
back
here
in
too,
the
by the way.
topic. We're going to stay focused on a special edition. There is not an emergency, I'm going to say, voting today, but it's really being rushed. So between now and July 4th, in this country, they're going to make a major decision. Most likely today, they're voting. The Senate is voting on whether to make the changes, which is going to cost over trillions and trillions of dollars. That trillions and trillions is going to be taken away, targeted from the services of Medicaid, and also if you receive food, SNAP, and other benefits and services. So let's get right back into it, man, because this thing is just so high powered that we have to think about what a solution we could come to.
Well, let me say this first, because white supremacy in America has always targeted welfare, and has always said that the American people are paying for blacks to live for free and all kinds of different things. When in essence, the federal government is the biggest recipients of welfare that in America. So when you think about it, every senator and every representative and every president is taken care of for life, right? On the government's dime. There's no bigger recipient of welfare than the people that worked in Congress and representatives and presidency. They're taken care of for life. American people are paying for that, and they don't see that being welfare as much as they see making sure that the poor have something to eat as welfare. And when they attack welfare, they're going to actually attack themselves, because more white people are on welfare than black people.
Right.
Well, yeah. Well, you live in Michigan, right? You live in I guess Wayne County. So you're in Michigan. You've got some rural areas, like where the militia and everything is up there, and I'm pretty sure they're relying on that stuff more than we are.
Yeah, they are, and that's why I said for them to target themselves.
Right.
See,
they're targeting themselves, but the media and everybody else makes it seem like, only black people are on welfare, or black people are abusing welfare, or they're taking money out of my pocket because I got to pay taxes to help them, and I probably put a couple of their kids through school because of the simple fact I pay taxes, and then they're taking the welfare and using it to buy long hair and booties and eyelashes and stuff like that. And when you can't really do that with all of that. But if they really want to know about how welfare is run, they should ask their brothers and sisters.
True, so true. And here's the thing. Once again, the political jobs, basically none of those jobs, when it comes to their salary, is included in this money. That's going to be cut, taken away, so that they can so-called improve. None of their medical is going to be touched, because they're on a medical platform. And basically, there's a lot of jobs. If you go through these politicians, we consider those shadow jobs, where the people have these positions. You don't know who they are. Every election, you get a phone call, and these are people who are paid full time. And then they want to ask you questions and so forth and so on. And then who are these people? So all of these people, their jobs will be secure. Meanwhile, the average person who's here to help a person to get by, it could be a senior, it could be a child. And I really like what you said, Jerry. We call it here in Philly the walking wounded. If you're wounded and you can walk, we don't care if you're bleeding or if your eye is, partially where your vision is blurred, you still can go on. That's the view. And the money that they're going to take from the service is going to go into the wealthy. Anybody have any thoughts with that?
Well, just like me with the Medicaid, they sent me a letter saying that I had to apply for disability. I attempted to apply. They're like, "Oh, you can still walk, so you're not getting any disability." Also, to something Juan said regarding there's a lot of corporate welfare where these corporations or companies are being bailed out constantly. Juan, you're probably not aware. We have a situation currently here in Pennsylvania, in particular Philadelphia, where our mass transit system, SEPTA, has a budget deficit, and they're saying, well, we need all this money from the government. We need close to $300 million, or we're going to cut half the services, and nobody's going to be able to get around. I can't do that. I don't get any type of help. But these companies, they just keep pumping, the government just keeps pumping money and money and money into these corporations, and they get nothing for it.
Right.
And the poor people get screwed over, excuse the term, but they do.
That's the aim. That's the aim of all of their when they do cuts. Their cuts are aimed at poor people. Their cuts are never aimed at making the white people pay more, so there's more in surplus. It's always, well, how can we cut, or what can we cut from the budget that doesn't affect them?
Right. So, guys, I think we have maybe 5 minutes left. Let's talk about any possible solutions. Are there any temporary solutions? Everybody have any thoughts on that?
Well, we can write and call our Congress people and our state reps and make sure that they vote against Trump when he comes up with these bills, because the House of Representatives and Congress and Senate has more power than the presidency. And a lot of people don't understand that. The president is basically a figurehead, like the Queen of England or the King of England. Basically, all he does is represent the America. Only power he really has is with the military, and he's abusing that. So what we need to do is make sure that the House and our Congress people really read and vote against these crazy, I call them shenanigans that Trump is coming up with, because there's nothing more than just shenanigans. Because what most of these bills are they're like hidden agendas, so something else can happen. So he might have something else on the horizon, but he wants to get everybody focused on something else so he can make something else happen. And under that, where it will trick a lot of people. But our Congress people have to be smarter and read the whole bill before they say yes or no to.
All right, Jerry, what do you think?
All right, and we're actually about to wrap up.
Okay.
But so what I'm going to do is, normally the way we do this is we have everyone do their final thought, which is like 30 seconds. I do have a thought, but I'm going to throw it back to Van real quick, and we can start wrapping up.
Well, I wanted to see what solutions that you thought or had in mind. We can revisit that for another show, because this is not going away. I mean, that's pretty much, then we can go to the 30 seconds and wrap up the show.
Okay. All right. So who wants to do their final 30, Juan or Van?
Well, it's always Juan.
I do my 30. Well, I think that we need to be more vigilant as Black people, as in creating our own spaces outside of whatever help we get from the government. We need to create our own spaces, our own neighborhoods. We need to take care of them, and we need to make sure that we are more self-sufficient than we are now. That's mine.
Okay, and so in my 30 seconds, listen, we want to just let all of our Black Americans, regardless of what state or city you're in, to pay close attention to this platform and this program, PhillyFunkRadio.com. Also check us out on all the other programs, YouTube and Facebook. And of course, stick with this show, One Media World Radio. We're really thankful to have you, and we'd like to have you back next week or anytime we have another show and on a regular basis. We would really appreciate you. Normally, our viewers and listeners, we are on a Sunday, we're on a weekend schedule, but we have other shows as well and tied in. We have a spinoff show called The Reading Captain Show. It doesn't matter what state you're in. You're more than welcome. We're looking to bring in 100 men to that program. Maybe we'll explain that to you, or Jerry explain it to you. That's coming up in the month of July, as you can have a chance to participate in that as well. So with that in mind, all our viewers and listeners, if you have any questions, call us at 610-803-1624. And we're bringing in more things special, live, Philly Live Show with Van Stone here. Throw it to you, Jerry.
All right. So my final thought, something we didn't even talk about, because it's regional. By the end of the week, our city government, some of our city workers may be on strike. There may be no trash pickup. Certain city services may be shut down, and so forth. I hope they get this stuff worked out, because the last thing we need is the trash piling up. Like, what was this, Van? Like 10 years ago?
It was.
We
10
went on
years
strike.
ago.
The city went on strike, and the trash piled up exponentially, and it just stunk. Actually, it's not too much better now, but that's
Right.
neither here nor there. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
So,
it's true. It's terrible.
I would actually like to thank Juan for joining us. I had actually invited another DJ, Michael K., who we both know, to be on this afternoon, but unfortunately he was busy. So I would like to give a shout out to Michael K. from T-Rex Radio, who's in our internet radio network. So thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
All right, guys. Thank
All right.
you.